Hey guys, we're out in the garden again today and winter has found us. So in our last video, we talked about the need to put trees away for the winter, what that all looked like. Well, now I can show you really quickly what the garden looks like. It'd be really easy to do a clickbaity title here like, oh, something happened, check it out everybody. But this is just what she looks like with nothing on the benches. So we've cleared all the trees out. We talked about it in the last video, tropicals are indoors, but everything is empty now. So believe it or not, every tree that was out here in the last couple of videos that we put up has been navigated into that greenhouse. So it's a really big time of year for us just in the shift, and there's a lot of people that will do the bonsai shuffle this time of year where they'll try to pull trees in and out. My system works well enough to where once they're in, they're pretty much in until the spring. And if they're going to continue to move a little bit of water, if it warms up a bit, the way we can manage the airflow inside the greenhouse makes that not so huge a deal. But now that they're in, they're in. The interesting thing is, I had a memory pop up on Facebook of a picture of the greenhouse loaded with trees last year, yesterday. So we're pretty consistent in the timing of putting everything away. And the reason we put the trees away now is because we're starting to get into that zone where it's going to hard freeze every night and then it's going to thaw out during the day every day. And that's what damages roots. When the trees go dormant and they're froze and they just stay froze, everything's fine. The freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw thing happening is really what does more damage to the root system than anything else. So the second we start to bounce into that zone, that's when we put the trees down. So the garden went in last year. We have a stone retaining wall on the far side there. And then we put some really large gravel in. This gravel is really nice because if a little bit of detritus, like you see some needles and some leaves on the ground, that will just decay naturally and go down through the gravel. It looks nice. The hard thing is it's pretty terrible to walk on. Like, this isn't super comfy. Next year we may put down some pea gravel just to get us in the zone that we want to be in as far as comfort walking around. But this is the way the greenhouse looks now that everybody has been piled in here. So it's crowded. There are a few kusamono that have been cut back, but most of these are bonsai or bonsai material. There's a lot of trees packed in sort of any place that we can fit them. They've been piled in. They are in all different stages of development and refinement. And the fans are running right now because it's gotten a little bit too warm in here versus outside, but everything's good. So everything in here is going to have something done over the course of this winter. The wire will come off of this larch and we'll rewire some of the pads to flatten them out a little bit. This is a really cool juniper, and I'm actually, it looks like it dies every year. This is just the normal winter color for this variety of juniper. But this huge bottom branch is actually going to become a gin, because it's grown so out of proportion with the rest of the tree that I think the best way to move it forward is actually going to be to just take this branch all together, make that a deadwood feature, shift my defining branch from down here up to this next phase. It'll give it a more feminine feel even. It's going to be a really neat move, and then it's going to go into a larger round pot than the one that it's in now. That's going to be a really cool bit of work. Pines will be dewired, some of them rewired again. This bristlecone pine is going to become a slab planting. This American hornbeam is going to go into a slightly larger pot, into a ceramic, and we'll begin the process of refinement. We're sort of going out of development and into refinement. I want it to be a little more feminine, so we just need to build some ramification. Lots of different trees that haven't been repotted in a long time that are going to be repotted. But this is basically the system and the workspace that we're going to be dealing with for the foreseeable future. So I want to make sure everything's thoroughly into dormancy before we start the process of doing work, but we're going to be doing some really cool work. So this is where we're at. I know that it feels like the greenhouse is out of room, and it is pretty much out of room. But the cool thing is that some of the trees that we have could actually be kept in the garage. Don't tell my wife that I'm thinking about keeping trees in the garage and the greenhouse. But B, as time goes by, I'm going to figure out better ways to organize this space. We'll be able to fit even more trees in here if we really want to, but this is as far as we needed to get for this year. So Goodnight trees, everything is going to be dormant, and we've shifted gears fully and completely away from having stuff outside. So garden feels kind of empty. It's always a death, but part of what bonsai teaches us is that everything happens in cycles. It teaches us that there's a time for growth and there's a time for rest. That there's a time to do really, really heavy work. There's a time to do light work. There's a time to risk the tree to bring it forward in its evolution as a bonsai. And there's times to be really, really, really careful and really conservative. And we get to balance all that out. But this is the last moment in time before we have fully transitioned over to winter work. So this is the greenhouse, looking better organized and yet even more full than it was last year. Thank you guys for tuning in, and don't forget to check me out on Instagram. There's Third Day Bonsai, and I think we have a Facebook page up and running too, Third Day Bonsai. So I'll be sharing photos that we're taking. Actually had a friend of mine that's a professional photographer named Steve Brandt come out and take some incredible shots of some of the trees. I'll be trickling those out on Facebook and Instagram, just sharing the hobby and what we get to be a part of in all this. So look forward to seeing you guys. Look forward to sharing the journey and even doing some longer work videos in the greenhouse as we continue to evolve and bring these trees forward. So thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time. Bye.